Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Hey there, everybody. It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards, get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. It's time for the first look for week number 5. I'm with my friend and former DraftKings millionaire maker, Alisha Hunt. Alisha, big first bye week this week, only 10 games on the main slate. Do you like when there's fewer games, or do you miss the games that with those teams on bye?
No, I kind of like it when there's fewer games.
Yeah, I think it makes it, you have to be right? We don't want to be wrong here. So let's just kick it off. Let's start here. Let's start at quarterbacks. There's one game that's everybody circling on the calendar. It's the late game hammer. It's Kansas City and Minnesota. How many teams, including yours, will start with Kelsey and Mahomes?
I like Kelsey, but I don't think I'm going to put a lot of Mahomes in. He's just too expensive.
So do you see yourself doing Cousins and Kelsey, like a Cousins, Jefferson, Kelsey? Or, I mean, I don't want to not have pieces in this game. I mean, everything in my body is telling me you better play this game.
Right. I do like Cousins better than Mahomes for his price. I think he has a better chance of getting to that 3 to 4%, or that 3 to 4% times his value. But Mahomes, yeah, I think he's too expensive. I do like Kelsey as a run back, and probably would take Cousins and Jefferson in that game.
Is it crazy in that game to be looking at a double tight end offense? So you're almost going with Cousins, Hawkinson, and Kelsey. Is that crazy to think? Because the Chiefs are not great against tight ends.
No, I don't think so at all. I think it makes complete sense. I believe Kelsey and Hawkinson are going to be pretty heavily owned, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. If there's any real cheap tight ends to go after, maybe some mid guys out there that might be better to go after than this and fit some other pieces in.
Let's assume you're right, and they'll both be highly owned. Will they be highly owned together? Right? How many people will do the double tight end offense? Because most people don't like putting 2 tight ends out there.
Yeah, I think it'll be a pretty rare combination.
Okay. JS, our friend JS, who is always listening, we appreciate you, JS, talks about Kadarius Toney. What's your thoughts on Toney? I've got to think, if I'm playing this game, I may go all in, right? Whether it's MVS, whether it's Rashee Rice, whether it's Toney. Are there other pieces out there that you like in this game?
Personally, no. I don't. I like Pacheco. He's probably the only other piece on that team that I'll go with. They just distribute the ball too much to different people that I can't pick one. You know, it's kind of a dart throw.
I'm going to say this to people out there. Minnesota's run defense is surprisingly better than you think. It is surprisingly better than you think. They were very stingy to Miles Sanders. They were stingy to Rachaad White. They've been stingy. So I think I like Pacheco. I do. But I just wonder whether or not – I don't see this as the blow-up game. But let's talk about some other big games with and then we'll talk about specific players. Philadelphia and the Rams has a 50.5, right? 50.5 number there. That's a big number. Maybe Cooper Kupp returns. Maybe he doesn't. Puka Nacua is there. Atwell's there. Kyron Williams, who scored 2 touchdowns. There's a lot to like in this game. Do you think this game will be under-owned comparatively?
No, I mean, it's coming in as one of the top 5 stacks, so I think people will be all over it. I like Puka. I don't think Kupp's going to be back yet. I think maybe next week. I mean, Puka's great. He's shown us that he's pretty good so far, so it's kind of hard not to go to him. He is getting a little bit more pricey, but depending on how you can build a lineup, he might be a good piece.
Well, he's 7,700, Alicia. I mean,
Yeah.
that is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's the seventh most expensive guy. I mean, you're paying up.
Yep.
And you're probably going to get him at about what, 20%? Is that what
Yeah.
you're
I
thinking?
mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think he's going to be about 20% rostered. I think Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill might be less owned than he is.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and honestly, I like AJ Brown better than I like Puka. He's $8,000, but he's got a lot more experience. He's going to be going up against the Rams, and he's been great lately.
Now, you mentioned something there at the very end. You said he's been great lately. But we haven't really heard from Devonta Smith. We haven't really heard from Dallas Goedert. I'm willing to let Dallas Goedert go. But I feel like, is this the week to be having guys like Waddle and Devonta Smith, guys who have been great in the past who just haven't really exploded? Could this be one of those weeks?
Possibly. I would still go with AJ Brown over Devonta Smith. And I still think Tyreek I think he's gonna have a good day.
I do too. So let's take a look at that game. That's the other big game here, points-wise, 48.5 total. Miami is a big 11-point favorite at home. Giants really look putrid. I mean, I don't have any other word for that. Maybe horrific, putrid. I'm trying to think of every nasty word I can come up with. I feel like if I run three lineups, which I do, I have to have one that stacks Miami, whether it's Tua, Tyreek, and Waddle, Tua, Chan, and Waddle, or Tua, Chan, and Tyreek. I got to do something like that.
Yeah. So I'm not real sure about this game yet. A lot of weird things could happen, or it could just be a straight up blowout. And I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I probably won't take. Is it Achan or Achan?
Achan, I think, or Achan.
Okay. Achan. Okay. So he's already above 20% ownership, and I think there's better options out there at running back this week. The one person I do like a little bit of exposure from that game is Wan'Dale Robinson for 3K. I mean, why not, right?
Is that this week's free square?
I think so, yeah.
When a guy like that is the free square, do you have to play him? And if so, does it bother you if he's 30% owned by everybody else in your leagues? Or do you just suck it up and you figure out how to be different elsewhere?
For $3,000, I'd play him.
I think so too. I don't think you can go wrong with him, right? I think that worst case scenario, does he go 4 for 40?
Yeah. And, I don't, yeah, I agree, Jay. It's not hard not to play him. And the other thing too is I like Robinson, but I also might, depending on where their ownership comes in, like the Dolphins defense. I know they haven't been great, but if New York is playing so poorly, I mean, they're playing in Miami. It's going to be warm. They're acclimated to it. They just might blow them out. I don't know. That's why I'm going to keep an eye on this.
I'm going to give you a play from that game, which I think nobody will play, but it may be the $1 million play. Darren Waller. Miami has not been great against tight ends. Darren Waller barely touched the ball last week. Nobody wants to play him. Everybody's thinking Kelsey and Hawkinson. Everybody's going to be going on Wan'Dale for the savings. I mean, I'm not telling you that this is the way to spend your hard-earned money, but I'm telling you this. Don't be shocked if Waller puts up 18 points and wins somebody $1 million.
Yeah, I can see that happening. It's a possibility.
All right, let's get to some other games here. Tennessee against Indianapolis. Low scoring, a 43 total here. Are there any pieces in this one that you like? Is it a Richardson? Is it Hopkins? Is it Pittman? I mean, look, Tennessee played very good pass defense last week. I mean, are they better? Are you staying away from this game?
I think so far with my research that I've done, the only piece I really like so far is Derrick Henry. Um, I I'm not really excited about any other pieces here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stay away from this game too. Okay.
Yeah.
The Saints against New England. Alvin Kamara had like what? I think he just caught another reception while we were doing the show. That's how many receptions he's had. I mean, and so it feels like, and also Matthew Judon could be out. Christian Gonzalez is out, but there's a lot of mess there. Does this feel like a Kamara week?
It probably is. However, he's going to be super owned. I think he's coming in almost at the highest owned player right now. So I may not go towards him for that.
Yeah, I think Kamara is probably going to be, what would you say, like 20%, 25%?
Probably more. I'd say
Yeah.
he's probably going to be between 25 and 30.
You know, let's answer JS's question here for a second. Tennessee's run defense is good, but that's when you're talking about traditional, running back going to the line. Anthony Richardson is not traditional. Do you think Anthony Richardson can solve the riddle of the Titans' run defense?
Yeah. I think he probably can. Again, I don't know. I like so many other games more than that one that I don't know if I take the risk on it. But you may take Richardson and he may throw up 35, 40 points. Who knows? And there you go. He's your Millie quarterback.
Correct. All right. Detroit at home against Carolina. When Detroit is home, I start to salivate. You've got the Jared Goff experience. It's always good. You've got David Montgomery. Carolina's not a good run defense. I feel like Montgomery has to get in there. Amon-Ra St. Brown hasn't been practicing. On the other side, you've got Thielen, you got Chark, you got a bad, Hurst, who's going to be 1% owned. Do you like this game? It's only 44.5. Vegas doesn't love it. Do you like it?
I love Montgomery. He's pretty much a lock for me this week. People have just been killing Carolina's run defense. Who else do I like? I like Thielen at this point. You might want to like Laporta. He's good, but he's a little bit more expensive now. Can he get that 3 to 4 times? I don't know. And we'll have to see St. Brown how he's been doing with his injury.
I think Laporta is an interesting play. I do. I think he's coming in pretty cheap. He's coming in at 5K. Didn't explode last week, but this feels like a game. I have no problem playing him. I think it makes a lot of sense, to be quite honest with you.
Yep.
Okay, Houston against Atlanta. This is a 41.5 spot, really low. I can see these teams. Atlanta plays ugly. They play ugly, right? They want to run the ball. They play better defense than you think. They don't let you score 40 on them. The Texans have struggled to run. Stroud has looked good. You got Nico Collins. Where's your brain taking you in this game? Are there any pieces you like?
I wouldn't mind a little Stroud and Nico stack, and I also don't really mind Dalton Schultz. I know he hasn't been awesome, but Atlanta ranks 29th against tight ends, and I could see them putting up some points with Schultz in that game.
I kind of like Schultz a lot as my flex. Right.
Yeah.
So it allows me to be that 3,400 because sometimes, Alisha, I don't know how you feel. When I'm looking at the wide receivers, there was Tank Dell at 3,400. There was Josh Downs and there's Wandale this week. So I may not do Schultz, but I think Schultz is a really good pivot from Wandale. Where if Wandale's 28% owned, I'm going to get Schultz at 4.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how you've got to look at that ownership at those prices and see, some of the chalky ownership is okay to use, but you got to be picky about it and you got to see where your floor and ceiling are. That's just the way you have to put it together to win that millie.
All right. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. I want to ask a question here.
Yeah.
There's two Ravens I really like. One, I like Zay Flowers. I don't love him. I like him. I love Gus Edwards. Okay. The Steelers' run defense is not good at all. Okay. But do you look at a player like Gus Edwards and you say, I can play him on FanDuel and not on DK? Or do you say, if you say to yourself, I think he's going to score this week, I'll play him on both sides?
So that's an interesting game because I was reading the weather and it's supposed to be very windy. So I don't know how much I love the passing game there, and I wasn't even looking at Gus Edwards. I actually liked Lamar to use his legs in this game. But yeah, Gus Edwards and Lamar actually probably isn't a bad combo.
Trust me when I tell you, yards per carry, the Steelers have let up 4.86 yards per carry. And in terms of rushing yards, they let up 505 rushing yards this season. So they're letting up chunk plays. And as JS just wrote in a very condensed way, dude is physical. I mean, I think Gus is going to, because the Steelers are so busy trying to sack, they're letting up the run. And Gus Edwards could get 10 yards at a clip here. And when they get to the 4-yard line, it could be a Gus touchdown. So I feel like he's almost a lock button for me on FanDuel. But I'm with. I get the whole point about with the wind, and Kenny Pickett is hurt. You know, your friend Kenny Pickett. Did you play him too much last week?
Yeah, I don't never again.
I'm going to give you a piece of advice that my friend Tommy G once gave to me: never play players who suck. All right. We mentioned the Giant game. We mentioned the Eagles game. Let's talk about 2 more games that I think are really good here. Cincinnati and Arizona. Arizona has played pretty good on defense, but man, this feels like a Joe Mixon game to me. T. Higgins, 50-50, whether he plays. I think you could be looking at a Tyler Boyd as well. Josh Dobbs has been absolutely respectable thus far. Do you like anybody in this game?
I actually really like the Arizona side of it. And, people might think I'm nuts, but he's going to be super low owned. In the last 2 weeks, he put up 17 points against Dallas, 23.4 against the 49ers. And
who are we talking about here? Dobbs, Connor?
Dobbs. Yep. And he does have a little bit of run upside, rushing upside. I like him. I also like Connor, and you can get Marquise Brown and Michael Wilson. I like that game since he's been just horrible.
Interesting. So do you like a Dobbs more than a Matthew Stafford, more than a Daniel Jones, more than maybe a Ryan Tannehill? Is he your cheap quarterback of the week?
Yes.
Let me ask a crazy question. Crazy. Can I take the same Miami game, just work with me now, and have Daniel Jones as my quarterback and then play the Miami skill players? Or is that just suicide and I'm lighting money on fire?
I mean, if you want to take Daniel Jones, go for it, but I'm not going to.
But you see where I'm going with that? If I take Jones, because if I say to myself, the Giants are going to lose, but if they can stay within, 30 to 20, 38 to 24, and Jones if Tua goes for, 25 points and Jones is at 23 points, he costs me a lot less, and I'm still getting the other pieces in that game.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it might be something that people do run to and do. I mean, I've seen a lot of, let's go with Danny Dimes and see what he can do and then pick these other pieces from the other side of the ball. But I can't trust him enough to put him in. If I'm only putting 3 to 5 lineups in, it's just not somebody I want to try to throw a dart at.
Let's get back to that Arizona game. Do you like Jamar Chase? Do you like Tyler Boyd? Do you like Joe Mixon? You mentioned the Cardinals you like. Who are the Bengals you like?
I do like Mixon. Chase is probably – I mean, Chase and Boyd are going to probably have good days if Higgins is out, or have a good day if the Higgins is out. Like you said, it's about 50-50 right now, so we'll keep an eye on that. But I think Arizona's a little bit better than people give them credit for.
Well, I agree with you. I think Josh Dobbs, to me, has been the absolute surprise of this season. He has been good. He runs. He keeps them in games. Maybe they're not winning, but they didn't get blown out against the 49ers either. And Josh Dobbs, what I like about him is he's just good enough to keep the other team on the field. Christian McCaffrey played all 4 quarters last week.
Yep.
It wasn't like this game was 30-3 and they were benching him in the second half.
Right.
All right. Last game of here. Jets, Denver. Well, Zach Wilson makes sense. Breece Hall Roto makes sense. Garrett Wilson makes sense. Tyler Conklin makes sense. On the other side, you may not have Javonte Williams, even though I do think he plays, but McLaughlin is there. He doesn't do very well in pass protection. But you've got Marvin Mims and Sutton and Judy. But if I can, considering how bad the Broncos defense is, Vegas still says this is a 43.5-point game. What gives?
You know, I like the New York side, the Jet side of this game. It's so hard to take Russell Wilson. It's so hard for me to do it. It's just, I don't know. I just can't do it. And, I think that Zach Wilson actually looks somewhat alive and he's cheap. I'm not saying to go ahead and take him, but he's not going to be owned at, what is he going to be? 3% owned? He's going to be really low owned. So Breece Hall should have a good game against Denver. I love him. And Garrett
Alisha,
Wilson.
do you remember, was it, I can't remember the team. I want to say it's Denver. Did he get injured against Denver last year?
I believe so. Yeah, that's when he tore his ACL.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he have like 70-yard rushing touchdown against Denver? And he was looking magical up till that point?
Yeah.
So Denver has already proven that they can't stop him. Now, here's my question. Robert Saleh today says Breece Hall is healthy. He's going to get more carries. But by the way, we also want to get our other guys involved too. I don't know why anybody needs to see Michael Carter on the field ever. And Dalvin Cook is shot, by the way. That dude wasn't worth $1. Is Breece Hall going to get 20 touches? And if he is he a must in lineups?
He's a lock for me. I think he's going to do very well, and I don't care what Robert Saleh said. Yeah, Cook's done, and Carter, I agree with you, has no reason to be on the field.
So your two lock buttons right now, well, this of course can change, are Breece Hall, Roto, and David Montgomery.
Yep.
I have no problem with that. My only question I have about Montgomery, I hate buying into paying for last week's great game. And trust me, I think Montgomery played great. I only played him on half of my seasonal teams. I'm upset at myself for doing that. I didn't trust it. This matchup against Carolina is absolutely beautiful. There's no reason that he shouldn't have 80 yards rushing and a touchdown at the very least. Am I buying into last week's success?
I don't think so. I think he's good. I think he's good with this team, and he has a lot of upside against Carolina.
All right. So let me ask you this question now. As of this second, what's the stack you're playing?
My favorite stack is probably Arizona as of right now.
Give me the stack. How do you see it shaking out?
I like Dobbs, Connor, and Marquise Brown.
Really? And you're going to bring it back with Mixon and Chase, or are you just going to bring it back with one?
I don't know if I'm going to bring it. I'm going to put some lineups together, and I don't know if I'm going to bring it back, but it allows me here. Let me check this out here. It would allow me to get Justin Jefferson in my lineup. I could fit some Garrett Wilson in there. Dalton Schultz. There's a couple people that I like. It opens up a little salary.
All right, so let's say you do that. Let's say you're crazy and do that. No offense. Crazy like a millionaire, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you still told me you're getting Breece Hall in there, and you still told me you're getting Montgomery in there.
Yep.
True?
Yep.
Okay. So the way I'm looking at it here is I see it, and I'm just putting this together here as we speak. Dobbs, Connor, Montgomery, Brown, Breece Hall. Is that fair?
Yeah. So I think, yeah, I like that.
I add Dalton Schultz to that. That gives you two big, large receivers.
Did you get Jefferson in there?
I did now. So now I've got 4,600 for a wide receiver and a defense. Who's the defense? Miami?
Go with the
Tennessee?
Ravens. I like the Ravens. I'm going to pay up for them this week.
All right. That gives you $5,000 for your favorite wide receiver.
Let's see. Give me 1 second here. $5,000, huh? What do we got?
Tyler Boyd, Tank Dell, Michael Thomas.
And we've got Marquise Brown in there already, right?
You do.
We're $100 off from grabbing Thielen.
I know. So if I grab Thielen, do you want me to get rid of Schultz or Baltimore's defense?
Get rid of Baltimore.
Okay, so I'm getting rid of Baltimore. I'm hooked on a Thielen. Just wanted
You
to
know
say
what
that.
other defense I kind of like? The Detroit Lions.
All right, so here we have it. Dobbs, Connor, Montgomery, Hollywood Brown, Justin Jefferson, Thielen, Schultz, Breece Hall, Detroit. And JS says, love that, Alisha.
Thank you.
And then he says, I'm all about contrarian. I'm here for $1 million.
You got to be.
He goes, I think your guys are onto something with this lineup. I mean this in the best way. I think you're nuts, but that doesn't mean you're wrong, right? Because sometimes the nuttier the lineup, you look at it and you go, it makes complete sense to me. The only thing I think I might do here differently if I did this is I think I would take out Thielen. And I think I probably would go with a Tyler Boyd, hoping that that game is bigger. And if T. Higgins is out, Boyd would be in for me. Right.
Yeah.
Try to get 15 points that way.
I can see that. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think, I'm too conservative, Alisha. That's why I'm never going to win $1 million like you. Because I'm going to start my lineups with Mahomes, Kelsey, and Jefferson, and then figure them out from there. Or I'm going to go Tua, Achan, Tyreek. And for me, crazy is saying I'm starting Danny Jones with all that other stuff.
Well, Daniel Jones, if he can come and play, it's the problem that I have with Daniel Jones is the offensive line is horrible. It's just horrible. The guy cannot, I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback because he's good enough and he did well last year and they paid him a lot of money. But I mean, if you don't have an offensive line, you can't do anything. That's just that simple. No,
you're right. I mean, that you're absolutely, I think what you're doing is interesting because I think I have to think, do you play DFS baseball?
I have, yeah.
Right. I know you've won some money with that this year.
Yeah.
I usually do 3 lineups, right? One with an expensive pitcher, one with a middle pitcher, and one with the cheap pitcher. Mm-hmm. And if I think of my football lineups the same way, if I have, let's say, the Mahomes, the Dobbs is the cheap guy, and then you find that maybe it's Cousins is the middle. And you try to figure out your lineups using that because like last week when I used Aiden O'Connell, I was able to fill my lineup with goodness in there. I mean, I was getting, not Jefferson, Adams and McCaffrey. I mean, I was playing guys with Phil Liberty.
Yeah. Well, here, I'll give you an example of another one that I put in where you can fit some good pieces on. So I've got Cousins as my quarterback, got Montgomery and Breece Hall, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill. I've got Wan'Dale Robinson. That's where I fit him in. So he's chalky, but I've got him in there. I actually like Jonnu Smith. He's been getting way more than Kyle Pitts. Sorry, Kyle Pitts, but I don't think it's his fault. I think it's the team. And then for flex, I was able to fit Michael Wilson. I know he had a good game last week. I think he's a good rookie, and I think he might do all right again. And then I've got the Saints defense. So, I mean, you've got Tyreek and Hill and 2 good running backs in there, just getting a little different with some of the other stuff.
And you had Jefferson. Yeah. That's a good lineup to me, right? You had Tyreek and Jefferson in that lineup? You know what I just smelled there? Money. I don't know. It smells like money to me. Now, does it bother you? Because it bothers me. So let me just ask you this question. Instead of Michael Wilson, would you be okay with me taking a flyer on a Chief, hoping that it's Sky Moore or MVS or Rashee Rice, and I get lucky and I get 2 touchdowns?
Yeah, I mean, that's how you do it. You hope that you pick one of these guys and they go off. The question is, which one is it? So if you pick the right one, all your stars align and there's $1 million.
No, I kind of really like that lineup. Let me see this again. Let me give you 1 second. You had Jefferson and Hill. You put Wandale in there, right, which was smart. Let's say I get Rice in there just because I can. And you said Jonnu, but I'm going to go back to our boy Schultz. And I've got 2,700 for a defense. Interesting. I think we can make something work with that team.
Yeah.
It's interesting. That's what I love about DFS. I love that we can try to make these combinations. And I'm the guy staying up until 3:30 a.m. on Saturday trying to figure out these combinations.
And then you watch something on Sunday morning and change it?
Yeah, totally.
You know, I should have left him in there.
I swear to you, that is the story of my DFS life. If I put in the lineup I had on Tuesdays and didn't change it, I probably at this point would have taken down I won't say the Millionaire Maker, but I would have taken down 3 or 4 tournaments easily. And I always let some optimizer or something I read change my initial reaction. And it doesn't for seasonal. Like when I play regular seasonal fantasy, nothing changes my mind. But DFS, I can get swayed. One little gust of wind, Alisha, I'm changing my whole my concept.
I know what. That's what I did last week, and it cost me a lot of money. I'm like, Kenny Pickett. Like, you have to go with your first gut instinct. Like, Dobbs, it's my gut instinct. I just, like you said, maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. But sometimes crazy wins, right?
Yeah, crazy like a fox. All right, before we let you go, so is that your Hunting Millions of the week, Josh Dobbs? Can we put you down on that, or is there somebody else?
No, you can put me down on that. I'm confident he'll do well.
All right, if you're hunting for millions like we all are, Josh Dobbs is Alisha's play. All right, check out drroto.com. You're going to get Alisha's main slate Hunting Millions article on Saturday. You're going to get all of our information coming up this week. Tons of DFS stuff, tons of stuff for your seasonal leagues, and Sunday morning Discord. You don't want to miss it, where we answer your questions. For Doc and Alisha, we say be well and take care.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.